There we go. It's good to go. All right, we're up. So, as soon as we go up, I lose him. All right, waiting for Ercil. There we go. As soon as it goes up, I lost you.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back. What are we? Day 0 was Monday. You began the bone marrow transplant.
+3. Yeah.
So day 3 right now?
Yep. Yeah.
Tired.
Transplant was Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
So how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling all right, man. I kind of tripping a little bit, like I told you. I got fever, which is to be expected, and they came in and took labs, and they have to. When you get fever like this, they can't get the blood out of your line. They have to literally stick you in each hand and withdraw blood,
Right.
because if the line is causing the infection, you don't want to get that blood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I got my Mike Tyson hand wraps right here. They had
So
me
your Mike
wrapped up.
Tyson hand wrap?
They had me double fisted a few minutes ago. So yeah, they take blood out the right hand and out the left hand, and then they'll have the results later. And unfortunately, since this hasn't got started now, it's probably gonna be something I'm gonna have to deal with for a few days, probably.
Talking about the fever and all of that?
Yeah, fever and all that. Yeah, hopefully it goes away. It turns out to be nothing, but it could be the first early sign of graft versus host disease. And which is to be expected. So right now it's not like there's any alarm or any panic or anything like that, but because they had pretty much laid it out that was a possibility that could happen.
Absolutely.
So,
and you said your temp.
I don't feel bad or anything. They just took my temperature. I had the fever, and from that point on, that's just what they do. They take all the precautions or whatever. So they got me on the Tylenol, and they've taken the labs and some more medicines, antibiotics, and all that good stuff. And they'll keep an eye on me for the next few days and see how it goes. Antibiotics and all that good stuff.
Right.
But yeah, up until then, I was straight. I felt really good. Tuesday and Wednesday. Today I've been a little groggy. Blood pressure's been not blood pressure, but my blood sugar's been kind of low today, which is crazy because it's usually running like high. So I've done a lot of sleeping, and I'm sure the fever probably has a lot to do with that too. When I start doing a lot of sleeping, there's probably some fever involved.
Right.
So that's where we at.
Get
right
up
now.
and walk around.
I really not a whole lot today because I've been hooked up too. That's the other thing. I'm hooked up. I got bags and bags and bags of stuff rolling today. Chemo, saline. I got all kind of stuff rolling today, and it's gonna be that way all day tomorrow too. So that's another reason why there could be fever, because I might be retaining fluid. Because I'm not able to get out and move around as much as I normally would. But that's just something I got to deal with today and the rest of today and tomorrow.
Right.
So yeah, they got me on the chemo as a immunosuppressant to my actual immune system, and hoping that it'll enhance the donor's cells that I have in my body. So that's why they do that. They don't really want any of my stuff coming back at all. They don't want to see none of my stuff, and that's what the chemo is for. So the chemo is not necessarily, it's not damaging to the new cells, but it's more damaging to my old cells because they don't want them to come back. And hopefully it'll kind of help the new cells, start to generate, move around, whatever it is that they got to do in there, multiply, and So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much everything that's going on right now was pretty much laid out beforehand. It's just that the last couple days were so swell, shit was just rolling
Right.
along. I was feeling pretty good, but it's kind of like all good things must come to an end, and it's kind of like where we're at right now. But I don't think anybody thinks it's anything major or anything. We'll probably know more in the morning when the doctors, come in.
Yeah. Now I know, I don't know if you have the answer to this, but how are they able to separate when they do the chemo, separate and making sure it's attacking your old
You know what?
cells and not the new ones?
That's a good question because basically just the way they explained it is it's not like it's weird. It's not like a destroying type of chemo. It's more of they keep saying immunosuppressant, and it's to kind of suppress my immune system while allowing the new stuff to flourish and grow.
Right.
So I'm not really sure. That's a real good question. Not really sure how that process works, but that's what they got going on right now, basically.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I know that, like you said, the last couple of days you'd been in a really good place and feeling good, but they were saying this weekend was supposed to be when it's really going to
They
hit
let me
you.
know that this is going to change, and don't think you're going to be feeling as good because you're not. And everybody has pretty much let me know. So yeah, I think it kind of started hitting today, and it kind of flared up in the form of fever. And when you start getting them fevers,
Right.
that's when you kind of start feeling kind of bad. You just don't have the energy. I like I say, feeling bad is not the right word, but you just don't have that energy. You don't have that. And I find myself doing, like I say, a lot of sleeping. Be like, damn, I need to wake up, but 5 minutes later, I'm asleep again.
Right.
And that's pretty much what happens when the fevers start kicking in.
Right. And you were saying like you were telling me the other day about like most of the people like on your floor, like everybody's kind of going through the same thing. Like it's everybody.
Pretty much. Yep. They're all at like kind of like
They're
different
all
stages. Yeah. About to have their
bone marrow
transplant.
transplant
Had their
recipients.
transplant. Or yep. Yep. So yeah, I see a lot of my neighbors out there walking around the floor or whatever. Like I say, we all basically going through the same thing. We just at different stages of it.
Yeah.
Different
Do you
places
do you get a chance to really?
as far as our
Do
recovery.
you,
Yeah.
do you talk to them much about like the people that are ahead of you
Not
and things?
really.
Do
We,
you? Do you
people kind of keep it moving. Everybody's friendly. Everybody always speaks and whatever, but, you know, we kind of keep it moving because, I mean, we in the hospital, we got our mask on and all that, but you probably ain't wanting to spend a whole lot of time, you know what I'm saying?
right? Right.
Compromising their recovery or them compromising your recovery. So, yeah, we just kind of
True.
keep it moving, passing. Everybody's, like I said, everybody's real friendly and
What
we had a
about your
patient.
dude that you was telling me he was like,
I ain't seen him in a while. I think he's still here, but I ain't seen him.
yeah, the one you
The
said
one that
he
was
was
trying to
kind of in
race,
competition with you.
yeah, the one that's trying to race me around the floor. Yeah,
trying to race you around the floor. Yeah.
yeah, like you just don't know, bro. At the NFL speed. You think you want to race me? And then he started talking about playing basketball. I knew he didn't want none of that. I wish we could go outside and play basketball. But yeah, it's just,
He
I
said, "Now I
mean,
know he's
honestly, it's just a
delusional."
little bitty interactions like that, real quick and in passing. Like I said, we just keep it moving.
Right.
So, but he was hooked up too. See, I had my few days where I wasn't hooked up, and that's when it's kind of the best because you kind of got some freedom. You can move around. And now I'm back to hook up. I got, like I said, I got all kind of stuff hooked up right now running. I mean, in fact, I think they're using all three of my ports. I got like three little port things that come down. I got something hooked up to all three of them right now, and it's probably gonna be that way for a while now, especially as long as the fevers keep up or whatever.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
what do
I'm.
they,
Uh,
when you hit those day 7, day 8, like is it what do those days look like? Those rough days? Is it
uh,
just going to be a lot you laying in bed?
Honestly, I'm going to go downhill, and that's probably what I've started already. It started today, probably. I'm probably going to continue to get a little worse each day before I start getting better, and I'm probably going to get low
Right.
enough to where I'm going to have to do probably some platelet transfusions, some red blood transfusions, all that stuff to help bring me back up. So I'm probably looking at about a week down, and maybe I don't even really know that. I'm just throwing that out there, and then
Right.
maybe another week or so to kind of come back up.
Right.
So that's the plan. I go
Yeah.
down, get some transfusions, do whatever I have to do, and then I start coming back up because I'm slowly dropping right now. They got my numbers up here on the board, and they ain't dropping real quick, but they dropping each day. I'm losing a few points off of
Hmm.
everything.
Which
So, and
what
that's
numbers are you referring to?
it's the hemoglobin, which they want to be like over 10, and I think I dropped down below 9 today. Yeah, 9.6. Yeah, so it's dropping. Drops a half a point, point 0.7, point 0.8 points, each day. The platelets, they want platelets are weird because they've let me walk around with platelets down around 10, 15, and I've been as low as 1 or 2 on platelets,
Damn.
but my platelets are like 60. I think they're at 60 right now. And two big ones, the two that's lowest right now are the ANC, that's my immune system basically, and the white blood count. And those are the ones you got to keep an eye on because
Right.
those are the ones that will allow some kind of infection or contamination or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Those are actually both those two are actually pretty low right now.
Yeah.
But as the week goes on, each day they'll come in at midnight and they'll take the blood, and by morning I'm sure it'll probably be lower than it was today. And then the next day it'll probably be lower. And then you kind of reach a point where you kind of bottom out, and that's when they start, I think, doing like, I have to go. I think it's downstairs. Downstairs. I have to go downstairs and probably do some platelet transfusion, some red blood. Get some red blood, and it should start slowly coming back up. So it's like nothing really
Right.
jumps real quick. It's a slow countdown, and then it's a slow build back up.
Yeah.
And that build back up is what I'm looking for because I want to get out of here. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so what I got
What's
going on
the
right now, it's kind of like, it's kind of like messing up the plans. But I knew it was going, pretty much knew it was going to happen. I expected it, you know. But after a couple of days of feeling
Yeah.
really great, I felt pretty good. I was like, man,
Yeah.
maybe I might duck and dodge it. Nah. So pretty much, pretty much everything they tell me has pretty much happened.
Yeah.
So and it just kind of trips me out. I was telling Melanie earlier, it just kind of trips me out because when it happens, even though they done told you, they kind of freak out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you already kind of warned me what was going to
Right.
happen. You know what I'm saying? And now that it's happened, they be looking like they.
Right.
So I don't know. It's kind of a trip. Yeah. So I don't know. And I guess in that regard, they're probably a little more concerned about it than I am, and maybe I should be concerned about it. I don't know. But I just feel like I've been through this, and this is kind of like par for the course. It's the same thing I went through when I had the induction chemo back in October. It was the same thing,
Yeah.
fevers, and they were sticking me and poking me and running labs and doing chest X-rays and all of that. And I never developed anything, so it's good that they stay on it and keep an eye on
Yeah.
it and make sure that nothing develops here either.
Absolutely. So I know most days when you're, going through, you always got some music going, or you're watching some sports or something. What's the thing right now that's keeping you like most
Yeah.
entertained?
Tonight I've been watching that draft. I've been watching draft coverage since about about 4:30, 5 o'clock this evening. And so, yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of been that. And like I said, and today I've done quite a bit of sleeping. So, because yesterday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like I said, I was up, I was about and kind of doing my thing. And today, it's just been it's been like low key today.
Yeah.
Like, like just chilling. And I probably, because they didn't, I don't know, I think they found that I had fever till what, about 5 or 6, 7 maybe. And that's probably why I was sleeping today. I probably had fever earlier than that and didn't even realize it. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't feel bad. I didn't have the chills or anything. And generally, when I know I got bad fever, I start having chills, and I ain't have none of that going on. But that's probably what it was. It probably was creeping up
Right.
on me, and I didn't even know it. Yeah.
How's your appetite and stuff? I know,
It's been all right.
typically.
I ate pretty good today. Yeah, that ain't gone yet. I think that's probably gonna be next because they they pretty much warned me about that too. They let me know that here in a few days you probably not gonna want to eat a whole lot. And that's why they got me hooked up to all this stuff, pumping some fluids in me and things like that because I'm probably not gonna want to eat or drink, a whole
Right.
lot here over the next few days as these numbers start going down.
Yeah.
And I think it's the chemo is real strong on the bladder. So that's another reason why they got me on a lot of fluids because they want to make sure they kind of flushing it at the same time as they kind of administering it. So they don't want me to come up with no bladder problems or anything like that.
Yeah. Huh. I don't
But
know. There's
yeah,
like a
it's good.
million and one
Everything's
things
all
that
good. It's just, some little minor bumps in the road.
yeah, absolutely. But like, as you said, like it was kind of to be expected. And like you said, I know you said
Yep.
going into this weekend was supposed to be like
Right.
some of your roughest patches of the starting
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah. Probably this weekend and maybe early next week. And then maybe hopefully,
yeah,
numbers will start coming back up slowly or whatever. And of course, I always worry about the transfusions because I've been good with most of them, but I have had some reactions to a few of them. So that's always a possibility too, where, I get some transfusions and fever goes up or gets higher. Maybe I feel bad for a couple days or so. So it's just all kind of it's kind of a crapshoot. And you just got to do what you got to do and hope and pray for the best.
absolutely. Now, I know a lot of people like that are listening or watching or whatever. Like they're probably not familiar with how the whole process works, like the bone marrow registry. Like, what are some of the things that you've learned in terms about the bone marrow registry, um, and even that registration process and what it's like for somebody who wants to donate?
Yeah, basically, you go to it is the National Bone Marrow Donor Registry, and they got a lot of, be the match. They got a lot of literature on it. And first thing you do if you reach out, they'll definitely send you some literature and things like that. Give you an opportunity to see if that's even something that you would be interested in doing. And
Right.
and if you are, they have a process where and I'm not even fully sure how that works myself, where they get you in, they get your information. You probably know more about that than I do because you are
Yeah.
on the
Yeah. They send
registry.
you. They
Yeah.
send you a packet. They send you a packet
Uh-huh.
and a swab,
Right.
and you swab the
Right.
inside of your mouth.
Right. And
Um, and go ahead.
it's a good thing, man. I mean, I feel like people, should really just kind of look into it. And here's the thing. If you're gonna go into it thinking that you want to try to save this person or that person, that's not necessarily how it works. It can work that way, that you're a match for,
Right.
maybe your
Right.
mother or, what I'm saying, or something like that. But once it gets past like a son or daughter, or maybe your baby, or you have a baby or whatever, and they might be a match. After that, the numbers drop significantly, and it's like even siblings.
Right.
Like my sister would have been a 1 in 4 match, but they wouldn't even let her consider it because she has lupus. Had lupus in the past, so
Right.
they eliminated her right away. But what I found is right away, like most things in this world, for some reason, first thing I saw, black people, 29%. That means you got a 2.9 chance out of 10 to find somebody that's going to be a match for you. Whereas it jumps to 71%
Right.
if you're a white American. And them numbers are good. They say they got so many donors in those cases, they got more than they need. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
99% of the time, somebody white is not going to be a match for somebody black, and vice versa.
Right.
And that's
Right.
where black people kind of end up getting left behind in things like this because the numbers just aren't there. And I can
Right.
understand people being apprehensive about donating or whatever, but to you in that situation where somebody you love or whatever is needing something like that, and you're not the match, and ain't nobody else in your family gonna be able to match up, because all them old cousins and nephews and aunties and uncles, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. So the numbers are really low
Right.
as far as finding a match. And it seemed crazy to me. It still seems crazy to me that a stranger out there in the world would be a match when all my people, you know what I'm saying? And none of my people are matched.
Right.
So, but that's kind of how it works. And that's why it's really important that, people do some research on it, find out if they want to donate or whatever. You may not never get the call. Like you say you donated 2013.
Man, I donated in 2000. It was when I got back from Afghanistan. I did a
Yeah.
story on a bone marrow registry drive at Yokota Air
Uh,
Base, and so it's
mhm.
2013, and I've never gotten a call. And I actually,
Right.
with
Right.
with everything going on with you, I re-registered.
Right.
What do you
Yeah.
got going
And
on?
that's kind of how it works. You may not ever hear from anybody because you may not necessarily be that match. And like I say, in my
Right.
case, it was a 9 out of a 10. It wasn't, a complete match, but they can work with it. They can work with the nines. So yeah, I mean, I ain't trying to push nobody into nothing. Just look it up, read about it, think about it. You ain't got to sign up right away. It might be something you might want to do later on, later on in life. You might
Yeah.
be like, you know what, man, I remember a few years back. But yeah, it's people out here, they need that help. They need somebody to step up for them, And like I said,
Absolutely.
I don't know for sure who my donor was. I think it might have been Ja Morant though when he took off on that dunk the other night. I'm pretty sure I got some of them sales.
You got some of them cells in you.
Yeah,
You about to
because I'm feeling springy.
come about the hospital bed dunking on
Yeah,
people and
feeling kind
shit.
of springy. Yeah,
Uh,
like I got big hair. But but that's what you're looking for. I mean, I'm joking. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for somebody young. You're looking for one of these 18, 19-year-olds got so
right.
much energy they don't know what to do with themselves. Them the perfect donors right there,
Right.
honestly.
Right.
Because once you
Yeah.
reach a certain
And
age,
them and
you kind of start building up some of them. You got ailments, and they be like, oh no, we don't want. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how it goes. It's kind of like
right.
the older you get, the more ailments you start picking up, and they don't want to fool with that. They need some good, healthy donors. And that's kind of how it works.
I think it's bethematch.org, isn't it? Pretty
BeTheMatch.org.
sure it's
Yeah, yeah,
bethematch.org.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's
Yep.
probably it.
So like for people listening right now, make sure you check it out because again, I registered back before I knew anybody that would ever need it, and And then again, I sent them the pamphlet, updated all my information because they still had my contact information from whenever I was in Japan. So I updated all that information. Yeah, and I mean, it's vital. You know, like you said, those numbers, 29% of black people, because they don't have enough black people in the bone marrow registry, you know? And
Right.
as you stated, with the white
Right.
people can't, like, that's a
Yeah.
one, like, that's got to be a complete outlier for them to be able to
Right.
donate for you.
Right. You start doing some numbers on that, and you start realizing, man, it's a lot of people ain't making it through this. You know, it's a lot of people
Right.
they ain't gonna be able to be on camera telling people about what they went through, and you know, it's a lot of people when you start
Right.
thinking about it. You know, and that's when you start getting
Yeah.
sad because it's like, you know, why is it like that? It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't have to be like that. But that's
Right.
the circumstance. That's the way it is. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just having a conversation the other day with somebody, and we were talking about like how black people are so apprehensive when it comes to like going to the hospital or going to doctors, right? Like there's a generational thing, you know, where we have the older generations that are kind of like, oh, I'm tough, I'm fine. They don't go. But then you also have just black people in general who are very untrusting of the medical system because of the historical grievances and things that have occurred, you know?
Yes, sir.
When you think about like the Tuskegee, you know, the Tuskegee, goodness gracious, why can't I think of
the syphilis trials,
shit where they are injecting them with syphilis?
Right.
Yeah, you know, from 1932 to 1972, they were injecting.
Right.
Yeah, they were injecting black men with syphilis, unbeknownst to them. You know, and things like this, when this occurs, especially in our community and even Native Americans, when they've had all these atrocities occur, it's made people apprehensive, and people don't realize that part of it, you know?
Yeah.
And so obviously things are getting better in this country. We still have a lot of issues, but things are getting better. And clearly in situations like this where we need more people, especially more people of color, to be donating and to be not so apprehensive, because you do have the opportunity to save some lives and help people, you know?
And we got, we got some smart doctors and nurses, and, I bump heads with them every now and then, but they doing their thing though. You know what I'm saying? They do what they do, you know?
Right.
And they ain't looking at none of that, or at least I hope they ain't looking at none of that, not concerned about any of that. You know, they trying to get people better, you know?
Absolutely.
And the regimen kind of sucks, but it is what it is, you know?
Right.
I remember when the lady, I had the meeting with one of my head nurses, and it might have been back in January or something like that. And she said, you don't have to go through with this now. You know what I'm saying? Ain't like nobody making you do it. And she said, you could decide to, forego it. She said, but this gives you the best chance to live,
right,
a long, fruitful life. And that's all I needed to hear, So not doing it was never really an option for me, It's like, I'm in here, I done came this far. I ain't finna back out now,
Well, didn't at one point in time you said that they said if you didn't do it, you wouldn't make it more than 2 years?
Yeah, could be 3 years. And that's another thing. Everybody's kind of different.
Right.
Everybody's kind of different. But the biggest thing is that I've heard is that people go into the chemo kind of like I did, and their leukemia does not go into remission. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. I think that's one of the biggest killers.
Absolutely.
They never go into remission. And if you never go into remission, the bone marrow transplant is not even an option for you.
Right.
And that ends up getting them before they can even get to that point. And so had I decided not to do the bone marrow transplant, I probably would have stayed in remission. Who knows how long? Nobody really knows for sure. That's all kind of like guesswork. But at some point, that leukemia was probably going to come back,
Right.
Whether it was 2-3 months from now, a year from now, or whenever, we just don't really know. And I wasn't really, I wasn't willing to take that. I was like, let's go ahead and do what we got to do. So.
Right. I literally just spoke to a woman the other day, and she was saying her 23-year-old son has the very same leukemia that you had, and he didn't make it, but she said he never got to remission. So when
Right.
I was telling her about you, she goes, he already got to remission. She's like, that's amazing. She's
Right.
like, her 23-year-old son, she's like, they couldn't get him to remission.
Yeah. And that's what I've
So
heard. I've heard that more and more. And I've had a few
yeah,
people kind of tell me that, and I've kind of read it, where
yep,
people say the biggest problem they had is that they never, their loved one never reached remission or whatever. And so they were
yep,
never even really had an opportunity to get a bone marrow transplant. So,
right. Yeah. So Monica Elizabeth, she's my old first sergeant from the military,
hmm
good friend of mine. She said, when will they be sure that Graves versus Host won't be an issue? Have they said?
that's going to be a minute.
It's gonna be a while.
That's a good 6 month thing, because here's the thing. We, what was the guy? We got a guy on our floor who was home doing well. And here in the last couple of weeks, I guess, he kind of started having some problems. So up to like 6 months, 6, 7 months. That's why all these dates are kind of like really important. If you can make it to the 6 month mark, you can make it to,
Right.
the 3 month, the 6 month, because at Graves versus Host, they said it could pop up as late as 6, 7 months in.
Right.
So, or the Graft versus Host.
Okay,
So,
I said that wrong. Graft versus
yep,
Host. My
yep.
bad. That was me. Yeah.
So, and, that's a little dicey when you hear that, because you be like, man, I get to feeling good. I'm back to doing, what I do. And then all of a sudden, I get sick again, And, yeah, because Melanie
Right.
was telling me about that. And I just hated to hear that, because I could only imagine, what that feels like. You done got 4, 5, 6 months into this. Yeah, you getting better. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you start having fevers again. And, so I'm not really sure what the case was there, but I could just tell that, his wife was definitely struggling with it, because you look at these milestones and you're like, if I can make it to here, and I make it to here, and I make it to here. And that's what helps get you through. And then all of a sudden something goes wrong, or you get some bad news like that. Yeah.
Right.
It could be demoralizing,
Right.
So yeah, it's a long, slow process. It ain't nothing it's not going to go quickly. That's for sure.
No.
But, the hope is by the time late October rolls around, Halloween, that's kind of what I'm looking at, is that I'll be past all of that and, hopefully be in pretty good shape. But it could be that
Yeah.
late out. It could, we could get to that point and they could say, well, something's not right here, So, yeah, it's tough.
So October, November is really
Yep,
where we're like
somewhere
really
in there.
looking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, you probably just say like first of the year. You made it to the
Right.
first of the year, you know what I'm saying? You're probably going to be good, And it's different for everybody,
Right.
because I've read stories where people have said 2 years after, they still were just totally drained. I've seen people that's 4 months in said they felt great. And honestly, that might be too early. You know what I'm saying? They telling you they feel great at 4 months in. Who's to know that in another month or two that they may not feel that way,
Right.
So that's the thing. It's different for every person.
Right.
So I got visitors.
Oh, you need to go?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
you and
Yes,
love you,
sir.
and thank you for taking the time. We'll do it again next week, and obviously I'll
Yes.
be in touch with you
Yeah.
throughout the week.
Thank
So
everybody again for all the prayers and checking on me and all that. I appreciate all of that.
absolutely. All right. Love you, Art.
Yep. Love you too.
All right.
Next week.
Next week.